Hello, here we are at Vicarage Road. It is Watford against Wolverhampton Wanderers. It is game week 4 and we've got a very interesting test up against us. Now Wolves, they have been wasteful. They haven't scored yet in the Premier League this season, but can we be the ones to keep that poor run going? Well, off the back of 2 defeats, it does hurt. We need to bounce back and show a bit of character, but the performances have been good. So we've got a lot of positives to take from that Tottenham defeat. We looked good. Obviously, the way that we conceded just before half-time was a bit of a blow, but now we're back at Vicarage Road. We've got the home fans behind us, and hopefully we can put Wolves to the sword, but it will be a very interesting game. I'd like to see Dan Bachmann, of course, start again. Foster obviously is still injured, but there's a lot of things about Bachmann right now. The fact he made that mistake versus Tottenham, and it was a bit of a howler, I'll admit, but it doesn't mean he should warrant not getting the starts. Bachmann is still the better goalkeeper, and I think that long term, obviously Foster's good to come in when need be, but Bachmann is your man really. So obviously I'd like to see Ngakia start, because Kiko Femenia being ruled out means we can't be playing Cathcart at that position, because especially if he's up against the pacey wingers Wolves have got, Trincao, Adama Traore, I just don't want to see that from Craig Cathcart. So he's a very good player, and there's no doubting he'll be coming in handy later on in the season, Craig Cathcart. But right now, especially off his injury that he suffered against Tottenham, why don't we just play Jeremy? He's got a lot of ability, he's got a lot of pace, he can hopefully match up with some of those wingers. So then I'd like to see the centre-back partnership we all love, they get reunited, because it was clear that Sierra wouldn't be playing this game, and it looked that way for a long time, but he is luckily past fit to play. Not fit, but with the Chile Federation obviously not allowing him to, because of the fact we didn't let him go to a red list country. So it's great to see. Hopefully he should really keep strong and make those aerial battles won up against people strong in the box like Jimenez and of course Tristan Collins. I just want to see Danny Rose play. I think Messina's been a really poor part of our team, unfortunately, to start the season. Danny Rose is playing. Just announced, so that's really good to see. Danny Rose hopefully can really grow as a great option for us. Midfield, you want to see Tabo and Kushka, he was just amazing against Villa. We really missed him against Brighton. Julai Kushka, the enforcer, he's absolutely everywhere, that guy. He just picks up the scraps, and he is starting alongside Sissoko, which is good as well. He put in a decent performance enough. Bang on. I've called it. The defence is perfect, and we've also got Josh King starting, which I also thought would happen. So that's going to be really interesting. King on his home Premier League full debut, and I also want to see Ismail Assar really linking up with Dennis again, like we know they can. We've got Luazza to come off the bench if need be. Ken Zema as well was an impact sub, and Craig Cathcart is on the bench. But for his debut, hopefully he'll come on later. Ozan Tufan, absolute baller, and Cucho's there as well, so it's pretty much as you would expect for the bench and for the lineup really. In terms of Wolves' team, it's looking a little bit scary, because to go up against Traore will be tough, and Jimenez of course is back in the team, but yeah, it'll be a big game. I think it will be a tough one. Both teams have found the counter, so that could make really interesting watching, but all we need to do is do what we did against Villa. I went into that first game this season thinking, let's sit back, let's absorb pressure and score a goal of our own and try and keep Villa quiet for as long as possible. But actually, we thought about it, we actually tried in the first half to take the game to Villa. That's exactly what we need to do this time. Go back there and really just excel, because we know that if we can get at this Wolves team, they have conceded in every game. So I'm going for a Watford win. It's a 50-50 match, of course. It's going to be tough, but we know that Wolves have been waiting. So I'm backing a Watford win, 1-0 to the Golden Boys, with the only goal of the game coming from the absolutely fantastic in-form striker, who can play on the left as well, Emmanuel Dennis, the Nigerian international. Hopefully he'll get a goal, and I reckon that'll come on 68 minutes, provided off the bench with an that good. And yeah, certainly he provides the flair that we need to get at these teams. And I know that you think, okay, last 2 games, not good results, but you take those first 3 games, you think Villa probably lose, Spurs definitely lose, and Brighton win. And it's just happened the other way around. So now we're into a really massive run of fixtures where we need to be getting points. Now, 3 points is a nice bonus today. I think it's the toughest of the 3 games we've got. But with Wolves, the way they've started the season, I think the fact they've got to still, adapt to the style under Bruno Lage, this is an opportunity. But we won't be too disheartened if we lose today. We've just got to win against Newcastle and Norwich, and then you'd be fairly, not too bad in terms of how that is to start the season. So I think we've just got to show a bit of momentum, show back the quality, and get back the goals we know we can score. See you later. Come on, you Horns! Oh yeah, I'll show the stadium now. The absolute lovely carpet that is Vicarage Road. There's Jose Sarr warming up, and the Watford goalies will be out soon. Come on, you Horns! Full time at Vicarage Road Stadium on match week 4 of the Premier League 2021-22, and it has finished with Watford's 3rd consecutive defeat on the bounce. Watford 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2. Well, it's safe to say that we certainly faded in that second half, and our 10 league winning run in a row at home is over. We wanted to show the positives that we took from that Tottenham game in this game, and we also wanted to put in a performance that showed that we were willing to bounce back from 2 defeats on the bounce. But Wolves were coming into this with no goals scored, plenty of chances missed, and the game panned out in quite an even way in the first half. Watford had some chances, and the atmosphere before the game was fantastic, and I forget what the name was of the man who we commemorated at the start, but that was really nice at the beginning. And basically the game was quite an entertaining one, end to end, as I predicted. Both teams like to play on the counter attack, and therefore Watford were kind of up and down going at Wolves, but also Wolves had a little bit of a threat, but it was minimal. I thought Watford had some decent chances, notably Sissoko. Really nice build up from Watford, and Sissoko did well to win the ball back, and then got a strong shot away, where he really was in a bit of a tight angle, but he was good enough to get a good shot away from where he was, and it was top left corner, good effort, and powerfully punched away by Jose Sarr. So yeah, it was a good save there. But then we also had a chance for Joshua King where Sarr got the ball back after a nice give and go, and a good ball out to Sarr, but then Sarr kind of miscued the shot, and the ball just dribbles across the goal, and there is Joshua King, very Gascoigne style, and he misses it by inches, sliding in Joshua King, and King put in a good first half performance. He was holding up the ball well, he was really trying to make things happen, and he was certainly in his first half performance much better than he looked against Tottenham. And I think that formation and that selection from Xisco Munoz, if I was the manager, that was what I would go with. It was a very strong first team and a strong bench as well. But the right players were playing, and you looked like that team were going to give Wolves a decent go of it. But as I mentioned, not too many chances for Watford, but at least there was the passion in there. Etebo with a bit too much passion, with a pretty dodgy challenge, basically needless, on the halfway line. And you thought, why has he done that? He's not won any of the ball, and he's picked up, from a defensive midfielder point of view, a yellow card that's sloppy, and then he was walking a bit of a tightrope for the rest of the game. So I wondered whether he would get subbed off early, but no, he stayed on. And I kind of thought maybe we bring on a little bit of Ozan Tufan for his debut, because then kind of takes the risk away from that challenge. But to be fair to Wolves, they had some chances as well, but just a bit like Watford really, not massively clear cut. Free kick given after maybe a contentious foul, but basically on the free kick it was a decent opportunity, decent position, and Trincao just floated it over the bar. Then a potential foul, a controversial moment when Watford were breaking, and there was a few times actually that Dennis did show that energy, show that hunger, and got down the full-back position and tried to pull it back after some good dribbling, but then it was cleared away by Wolves. But Kushka was good in his play, getting down the byline and linking up well on that right-hand side. And what happened was he tried to get the ball into the box, and it looked like he was bundled off the ball. Wolves break away at pace. Of course, we know they've got that in their locker, and on that breakaway, Bachmann does really well to see the dangers early and come out and sense the opportunity is going to come for Wolves, and he really did come out quickly to smother a shot from Raul Jimenez, and Bachmann came out so that it was a tight angle for Jimenez, but he still did well to really get a lot behind it. Then Trincao did really well to weave his way through the Watford defence, and he shot a effort straight down the barrel of Daniel Bachmann. So, got his body behind it. Solid first half from the Austrian goalie. And in terms of the defence, Rose was fantastic in that first half, looking really positive, just always seeming to get his ball to it, looking confident, and a really fantastic game from him. Then in Jeremy Ngakia, obviously we knew that Adama Traore was going to be a difficult player to deal with, as is any defender up against him, and Jimenez was also that for Troost-Ekong and Sierralta. But on that left hand side is where Traore started, and that meant Ngakia had to match him for pace. He'd got the pace to do that, so you kind of felt that worked out for the best, that he had to be up against him rather than Danny Rose, because it was a start for Rose that we hadn't done before, so it was straight into the thick of things if he'd have had to go up against him. But no, Ngakia started off quite dodgy, making a few mistakes, but he really did grow into the game and actually shrugged off Traore at times, showed some really good tackling and really good strength for such a small player. He did really, really well. And Sissoko as well had nice little flashes in the game. Obviously, against Tottenham, he tried to kind of pick the passes and show the strength. Was a little bit less effective in the second half of that game, but really strong in the first half, and just linking up the play really nicely. Had a chance, as I mentioned, and Joshua King, I thought, had a really good first half. His improved hold-up, his determination to get there, and Dennis as well, energetic, hungry. And Ismail Assar, just a little bit frustrating in both halves, really. He got down the flank a few times, looked dangerous. There was a chance when he could have had the shot, and it was kind of the similar position to when he shot against Aston Villa, where you kind of think, go for it, at least have a shot and then follow in the rebound, see what happens. But he didn't fancy the chance, so then he didn't pull the trigger. But not a major influence from Ismaila in that first half. So we go into the second half, you're thinking, all right, 0-0, not a lot has happened, but so far so good, let's go again and really get at Wolves in the second half. And we made a really early sub, and that was a bit of a shock, to be fair. Didn't see that one coming, because Josh King, as I said, not a bad first half, but the inevitable substitution of Cucho Hernandez was made, and King came off. So I don't think King had an injury. If he did, then I must have missed that. But yeah, it seemed an odd decision from Xisco Munoz, just to give King a few more minutes, see what he could do. But I just felt that substitution maybe took the life out of us a little bit. We put Cucho actually up front, and Dennis stayed on the left-hand side, which I thought was going to be the other way round. But then we also saw a substitution from Wolves, and their debutant, Hwang Hee-chan, came on, and he didn't really impact things too soon after he coming on, but just seemed an extra fresh player for Wolves, gave them a bit of momentum, and suddenly Wolves were starting to grow into the game more, and Watford, just going forward, didn't have much of the ball at all, and Wolves started to play with Watford defensively. Watford had to set up and kind of absorb the pressure a bit more, and then Wolves just got into that second gear, and it wasn't an amazing goal. It was a very scrappy goal from Wolves, and they still hadn't scored up to that point technically, because it was unfortunately an own goal from Francisco Sierralta, and the Chilean Maldini, who will have much better moments this season. I thought up to then, he'd done fairly well to kind of cope with the physicality of Jimenez, but it was just an unfortunate
moment where we didn't really clear the ball well enough. It came out to Marçal. He whipped it in as a good enough cross, I suppose, but I don't know. I think he just wasn't really aware of the players that were around him, Francisco Sierralta, and it was just an unfortunate one where he stoops, heads the ball, and puts it past his own goalkeeper, Daniel Bachmann, who, couldn't have done anything about it. Such an unexpected occurrence. So that was a real gutting blow. And then it just felt like since that goal went in from Wolves, fairly midway through, as I mentioned, that period of pressure before that goal that came on about the 75th minute, the goal that comes from Wolves is after that build-up, that the pressure is just too much. They got corners, they got free kicks, they got possession, and we couldn't really get out of our own half. So it was a bit of a killer blow. Once that own goal had gone in, Wolves just didn't really look that threatening, but it looked like the game was completely changed and we were not having any chance of getting back in it. And they have their second goal, Hwang Hee-chan, with a very, very scrappy goal. And it's just a shame to see us conceding two sloppy goals, really. Not defensively too much of an issue, but it's just the way that Wolves worked the attack was to pretty much guarantee a goal, because it was a really nice chip across the goal from Jimenez, and it kind of fell at the back post to Hwang Hee-chan. He had a shot, it was a scramble, a defence were trying to block it, and eventually it was forced over the line and given to Hwang Hee-chan. So, it's a very scrappy goal. It's a very frustrating thing to get that second goal and kill off the game especially, but I think after that we really were starting to file out the Watford faithful, and it was just quite a damp squib in the second half. So it's hard to explain what went wrong in that game, really. Second half, it just didn't look the same team, lost this kind of passion that we'd showed up to that point, and certainly didn't test Jose Sarr enough in terms of chances and in terms of getting shots away. So I think Wolves will be happy enough. Obviously they've got goals now, they're up and running, but they didn't really have one standout player. Obviously Traoré was dangerous, and as I mentioned, Ngake did quite well to deal with him, but they just got their scrappy goals, and once they had done that, they really did control the game. So it wasn't a matter of Wolves playing well enough, but it was Watford not playing well enough in the second half, in my opinion. So yeah, Bachmann, I thought he didn't have a bad game. He made a few really good saves, especially in the first half, but the second half there was one where Ruben Semedo, you thought he had to score, and I think he got a leg to it, but some really good saves in there from Bachmann. Just not unfortunate enough to concede two. He'll go again against Norwich and hopefully get a clean sheet that time. Then I think Rose had a fantastic game. There was just so much to Rose's game. He looked really up for it and actually did well, because when it was set the second half, they had to switch round, and Traoré was then up against him, and he just did really well. So I was really impressed by Danny Rose, first home start in the Premier League. And then the centre-backs had a bit of a problem. Obviously Troost-Ekong was pretty bang average, but Sierralta unlucky with his own goal. And then Ngake, I thought, was also fantastic, filling in there ahead of Cathcart and ahead of Kiko Femenia. He really did make that spot his own. So yeah, he's looking really good, and I think that we can't be too disappointed with that defence. Obviously it was what we expected for a lineup, but I think the fullbacks certainly impressed. And then up front, obviously Dennis was playing in the left back, the left wing spot, and I think King was better than a lot of people made him out to be. So I think Cucho was trying his best, but he just didn't have the same impact as he usually did. And in midfield, Etebo, poor game, and I thought he would be subbed off earlier. Kushka, I thought, had another very decent game. Obviously not a fantastic game. There was not many great performances from the Watford lads today, but I thought Kushka's just still making good tackles, trying to do what he could. And then Sissoko also had a really, really good game. I thought, first half especially, unlucky with the shot, really good tackling, and just a really authoritative performance. But the second half, all the Watford players just seemed to slow down. Ismaila Sarr was so slow in that second half, and at times trying to get crosses in, so weak for the crosses, and just there wasn't that chemistry between Dennis and Sarr today. I don't know where it went, but Sarr did his best, just wasn't really in the game. And I thought Dennis had enough of a game to say he really went for it. He showed the hunger, and he certainly had moments in the game, but it just was a bit of a cagey one really from Watford. So Not happy about it, of course. The loss, once again, third in a row. But we've got to look at that first half and try and preserve performances for more than 90 minutes. And we move on to Norwich away, which is a 6-pointer, of course. It's not essential that we win. It's very early on in the season. But the main thing is the results today have gone our way. Obviously, Norwich losing. To see the results with Newcastle losing as well. So it's not the end of the world. 15th spot is not ideal, but we can bounce back hopefully against Norwich. Come on, you Horns. We lose, but we go again.